People that are patient are incredibly effective because in the long run, they get stuff done. I've made many mistakes, but I learn from my mistakes. That's the key. I am not going to be successful in everything I do, and I want you to embrace that idea as an entrepreneur. Take the pain, take the hit, admit the mistake you made, and you will build a relationship, particularly with customers.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Motivation Nation.
Believe Nation.
Oh, Believe Nation. Okay. All right, here we go.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Kevin O'Leary, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1, diversify.
You can save $100, even if you're working 25 hours a week or a day. I mean, all my entrepreneurs work all day and all night, but I also encourage them, look, get some diversification in your own portfolio. You've basically got all of your eggs in one basket, your business. But there's nothing wrong with just finding $100 that you can save a week, because everybody can, and put it aside and invest it in a broad range of companies that we have through those ETFs I talked about earlier that are completely different than the company that you're working on. And that it's something that you're putting aside regardless of the outcome of your entrepreneurial journey. As you know, Evan, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you have to try 2 or 3 times. But investing is long-term, and it puts aside something that you don't have in your business, which is very, very concentrated. It gives you something called diversity, and I like that a lot in investing.
Rule number 2, be patient.
Hold back. You have to wait and see what happens. You have to let things develop. You can't just jam everything. It doesn't work that way. You learn that through experience, and it's so important that you understand you must be patient with people, you must be patient with plans, you must be patient with everything. You can't get what you want right away. It just doesn't work that way. People that are patient are incredibly effective because in the long run, they get stuff done. You have to kind of sit back and assess things. That's what patience is. It's an assessment of your situation.
Rule number 3, appreciate the lessons.
I have failed a lot. Many failures. I can give you some. I just gave you one earlier. I lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, at least on paper, for a long time shorting Yahoo. That was a big mistake. Stupid of me to do that. Then I started a business. I've started many startups when I was an operator that actually failed. One was involved with one of the giant cable companies, and I probably spent about 18 months on that, made no money, lost a lot. I think in that case about $750,000. Ouch, that hurts. It really stung. I've invested in other deals. Some were friends, some were other business associates that went to zero. Generally, in a startup, I'll put up about $250,000 and wait and see what happens, then put more in. And there was one that I put $250,000 into, and then within 6 months they needed more money. Even though my gut was telling me don't invest in it, I put another $250,000, and within 6 months, lost another $500,000. I've made many mistakes, but I learn from my mistakes. That's the key. I am not going to be successful in everything I do. And I want you to embrace that idea as an entrepreneur. You are not going to be successful all the time. You will make many, many mistakes. And it's okay. It's okay as long as you learn from it. Now, I don't make the same mistakes anymore. I make new mistakes. I learn from those again. And that's what's called experience. The difference between when you start your career and when you get to the middle of it in the end is all the mistakes you've made and what you've learned from them. And the older you get, the more you've learned. And that's the whole idea. And when I work with young entrepreneurs today and with my teams and my companies, I try and explain to them the mistakes I've made so they don't make the same ones. That's the whole idea. But I've made millions of dollars of mistakes, and I once ran as a politician and lost millions of dollars doing that. Was that a mistake, or was that a learning experience? I'm still haven't decided yet. But it's sort of those experiences in life are made up. The patina of life, the rust of life, the coating of life is all the experiences, not just the successes, but the failures you've made. Now, do I like losing money? No. Do I cry like a baby when it happens? Yes, because I know how hard it is to make it. Really hard, and I hate to lose it. But I make sure that I distill the essence of that lesson. That's very, very important.
Rule number 4, be honest.
Do not lie to the customers. Don't lie to your employees. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to anybody, your shareholders even. Take the pain, take the hit, admit the mistake you made, and you will build a relationship, particularly with customers. What we're learning online is if you have a direct relationship with a customer and you're honest with them and you tell them, hey, the product's going to be delayed, or sorry, you got a bad product, we'll replace it, we'll give you your money back, whatever it is, that communication ends up being very, very valuable over time. Those customers stay loyal. We've learned that 100-fold in our companies now. And now we're, across the portfolio, we're now at 48% direct of revenue to customer. That's magic, Gary. That's friggin' magic. Because that's 100% gross margin business. Let's talk about writing books, because I'm working on my 4th now. I'm hating every minute of it, but I think it's going to be my best. But I always say that about every book. How do you do yours?
This book came when I was on tour last year, and I was hitting the city every 4 days and doing a speech in front of a group, and the questions that people asked me, I just kept like a note of what people kept asking me over and over again, and then it turned it into
and you got, thematically, you would get some very questions over and over again that people had, right? And you say that is a kernel. That's an important question, because they keep getting it all the time. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I was on tour, and people kept asking me, how do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? It's like the number one question in every city across America. I said, well, that's pretty easy. You don't have to sit on top of a mountain for 10 years or hire a $20,000 business coach. You know, there's a 3-step process to find your purpose. And I just guided them through it. And then everyone's, hey, pick me, do it with me. It's like, okay, well, I'll turn it into a book. And that became Built to Serve.
Sounds good. I got to read that book now. That sounds pretty good. I got to find my purpose. I've really enjoyed our time today. It's
great.
You're a good guy.
Thank you.
I'm going to endorse you. It's fantastic.
Rule number 5, get a mentor.
Making your own decisions all the time, you're going to find out without any kind of feedback, you can be wrong. And there's nothing wrong with another opinion, another voice that you can listen to that would give you some great advice. Now, you can change mentors as life changes, as your circumstance change, but you should have one in your life. Could be an older brother, could be a sister, could be one of your parents, could be somebody completely random. My first mentor in business was a guy named Jerry Patterson, who was actually a lawyer and a hockey agent, a guy that would bring over Russian hockey players to the original 6 in Boston, Philadelphia, Detroit. I mean, how random can that be? But he was really focused about business. He gave me some great lessons in life. And then later in life, I turned to my stepfather, George, who was phenomenal in helping me through building, some of my businesses. And the point is, there was always somebody to go to. And the great thing about a mentor is, you can be completely honest with them. Generally, they have your best interest at hand. So that's very important.
Rule number 6, have a healthy routine.
The key to motivation is routine. Now that may sound boring and mundane, but it's not. If you get into a healthy routine, and that includes a lot of things, like for me, it's getting up early, working out 45 minutes to an hour every day, and then really into the routine of taking care of yourself too. Routine is part of motivation. Every day, you're going to get thrown a ton of shit that's going to hit you, particularly if you're an entrepreneur. Even if you're just working in a job, you're going to get emails and texts about, nobody says, hey, you're doing a great job, I just want to send you an email. They say, here's 5 problems I'm having right now, and here's the storm I'm in today, go fix it. That's generally 99% of your communications. So when you're working, you have to kind of categorize what you're going to deal with first. Now, to stay motivated, here's a little trick that I've used. Start your day with the biggest problem. When you've got all your energy, take it right out of the gate. Whatever it is, it's going to be some horrific problem, you got to deal with it. Get it done first. Generally speaking, there's going to be 5 to 7 things you have to do every day. You won't get them all done every week and every day, but you want to take the top 3 and nail them. And the trick to that is to do nothing else till you solve those problems. That's a big trick. I learned this years ago. I actually post this stuff the night before, a little sticky note, right on the mirror. It's very, very useful. So what I do every night is I take a little MC Squares. You know that product? That's one of my Shark Tank deals, wonderful company. And I write down the things I got to get done the next morning. There's no tech here. I actually write it down, stick it on the mirror. Get up in the morning, work out, come back for the shower, start nailing down those things. I always have my phone with me, so if I can start working on one of those things when I'm shaving, I'll call the guy up and I'll be shaving, getting it done. One of the biggest tricks of motivation is if you actually solve a big problem first when you have all the energy at the beginning of the day, it actually motivates you to keep going. No question about it. Now, the other issue you've got to deal with motivation is be able to take a minute off. Sometimes when I'm just frazzled, could be 2 in the afternoon, this is a trick. You just go sit in a chair and do something completely different. Listen to some tunes, take a snooze, read a book. It has nothing to do with the stuff you're doing during the day. Now, the people in the Mediterranean know this trick. They call it a siesta. They always take a snooze at 1 to 2. And the food they eat's really great, which leads me a great segue into the next piece. Do not eat food. People say, oh, it's too expensive to eat good food. Not so. You really, really don't want to eat crap. Crap drags you down. Now, what's crap? Look, everybody likes to snack, but you can't eat crap, and you know what I'm talking about. Overly fatty, too much salt, too much sugar, too much snacking, too many chocolates, all that stuff. You can indulge a little bit, but your core base of the 3 meals you eat during the day have to be good food. You cannot run the body with crap food. It just doesn't work, and you will learn this pretty damn fast. Now, that also means I like to drink wine. You got to drink it in moderation. So I have a little rule for myself. I never drink before I go on television. I never drink until 4 o'clock. Why? I'm involved in the financial markets, so they're open till 4. I never drink till 4 o'clock. Usually I don't even drink till about 5.
Rule number 7, invest in classics.
I want you to have a different mindset when you purchase things for yourself. And let me give it to you in a lesson that I learned from my own mother. And I've told this story countless times. My mother, Georgette, was a working girl in her 20s. She worked at a factory owned by her father that made children's winter clothing. She would save 20% of her salary each week and invest it. But it's not all she did with it. She loved fashion too. She loved clothing. She liked to buy things for herself, but she had a different mindset about it. She told me years later, and this really changed the way I think about buying stuff, that she would save a whole year just to buy 1 jacket. Instead of buying a whole ton of cheap stuff that she would throw out a year later and maybe not even wear, she would save up for 1 thing that she really wanted. She loved Chanel. So when it came to clothing, she loved Chanel jackets. They cost a fortune back then, but they were very high quality and they looked beautiful, and her thinking was they last forever in your wardrobe. Chanel never goes out of style. Now, talking about style and talking about fashion, in Georgette's mind was, it really is who you are. You're presenting yourself to the world and you want to look good, you want to feel good about yourself. The reason I tell you that story and why it's so powerful to me is years later, when she passed away and I became the executor for her estate, I started getting phone calls from all the women in my extended family saying, what happened to Georgette's Chanel jackets? What do you mean, what happened to them? They're hanging up in the wardrobe. Well, I would like one of them. In fact, I'd like them all. And I began to realize that these jackets were classics. All the women were fighting over them. They all wanted the Chanel jackets. Why? They were worth more today than they were 30 years ago, because they were one of a kind, in some cases, classic Chanels. How brilliant Georgette was, how genius that was. She invested in herself, in something she really loved, that appreciated in value. That's what I'm talking about. I want you to start thinking that way. My whole theory about fashion is it's about you. It's how you want to present yourself. So you have two options. You can buy a whole bunch of crap you don't wear all the time, cheap clothing. A lot of people go that way. Or you can start investing in pieces that are going to appreciate, in style that really means something to you.
Rule number 8, start again.
You are going to fail in life. Everybody does. Something you want, you can't achieve, you fail. You must be able to start again. You must learn from the mistake, and it sounds so obvious, but you can't believe how many people say, oh, I tried it, it didn't work, and I just never pursued another opportunity again. Great leaders, great entrepreneurs, great people learn from their mistakes, but they don't let it get them down. Like great successful people are always saying, it was a horrific outcome, really big mistake, lost $100 million if you're a CEO or something. It was really bad, but I realized the mistake I made and I started again. And that kind of goes with the idea that you must be patient to be successful.
Rule number 9, find the right partner.
I'm not going to give you marriage advice here or whoever you're going to hook up with. Your significant other ends up being very important. And they must be someone that understands you, and you need to understand them, because the romantic euphoria that is the part of the beginning of a relationship is spectacular. And I've said this many times. I wish that on everybody. And some people continually fall in love and out of love just to get that high of the euphoria of just the start of the relationship. But that's not really the challenge. The challenge is staying together. Not so easy. And the reason you got to think about this is staying together is hard, but you're building a foundation of trust, a foundation of perhaps family, an economic foundation. Couples that stay together build their lives together, and they have similar goals, financial goals, life goals. And that equity becomes very valuable over time. It's not easy, but in your 20s, you think about if you want to have kids, you got to start thinking when you're 25 years old, Robin. You got to start thinking about, okay, how old do I want to be when I have my first child? And look, this is a problem that's been around for people for the generations, for thousands of years. You got to think ahead, because one of my great regrets in life is I didn't get married till I was 36, and I didn't have children, till I was 38. I wish I'd had them sooner. I wish I'd made my decision earlier. I can't change that, but I'm giving you advice. You asked me for it. I wish I'd got married a lot earlier, and I wish I'd started having a family a lot sooner, because I would have enjoyed them even more. And to me, family's everything now, and you will find that too. This is advice, good, bad, or ugly. It's your family, and it becomes a big part of your life, and your joys and your sorrows and everything else. I don't want to get too sentimental here, but you get the timing idea. So if you can find that special person in your, late 20s, that ain't a bad thing. That's a good thing. And you have to think more about just, the euphoria of romance. You got to think long term. Is this the right person to hang with for the rest of my life? It doesn't work out that way all the time, and some people get married multiple times. But you wish every time you started one, it would be the one.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
This is the key to making the crêpe flambée. If the reduction is weak, if it's too thin, it's a disaster. If it's too thick, it changes the texture of the dessert, and it's also a disaster. And then I just throw in, this is a little secret, we're having a little Olere Moscato, one of the greatest, fantastic, perfect sweet wines for a dish like this. But we're not letting the butter burn. And so a little secret, just a little splash. Woo! You put that in there. Oh, yeah, there you go. Now, you introduce a little bit of the fresh jus d'orange. Remember, fresh orange juice has lots of sucrose in it. It's got sugar. Look at that. Not too much, that's just about enough. And then, of course, what we want to do is reduce our heat a bit, because we've got the butter going. I'm going to cut that down to sort of a simmer. A bit of an art here, just understanding the relationship between the jus d'orange, the butter, a little bit of that Moscato. Ooh la la. Just encore de une splash.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you get motivated, the science says you have a 35% chance of following through. That's not enough! But when you write down what time, what place, and how you're going to actually take action on it, you jump to 91% chance of following through. And when you have public accountability and you commit to other people that you're gonna do it, it jumps to 95% that you will follow through. So I want that for you, Believe Nation. I wanna know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate you.
There's a watch I want to get. It's a tourbillon. It's made by FP Journe. It's a vertical tourbillon, very, very rare, and whoa, is it expensive. Other problem is they probably are only going to make 10 of them. Now, I cannot buy that watch for myself until I achieve a great financial outcome in one of my deals. So that motivates me to go get something done. Now, in this case, I'm very optimistic about a certain deal that I'll probably be selling in a couple of months, and when that happens, what am I going to reward myself with? That FP Journe tourbillon. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but in my mind, that's a goal. And that watch will always be associated with that deal. And I'm working on that deal right now. I'm working on it every day. Sometimes I'm working on it midnight. You know, it's just one of those things that motivates me as an investor / entrepreneur. But I know when I achieve success, bingo, tourbillon.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Kevin O'Leary, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Great talent and great people that have, deliver results in their lives know how to work with others. They know how to work on teams. Even if they're running the company, people respect them